Hello, everybody. Welcome to a late Monday Q&A. I'm going to try my best to keep the Q&As on Mondays, but, things just pop up. Things happen. Yesterday, I wasn't feeling very good. Um, though, proud to say most of these Q&As that I've had have been on each Monday. This is the second one out of 8 now that I have made the following day. I'll try to keep it that way. Maybe go 2 weeks on a Monday and then provide some wiggle room for any things that pop up that prevent me from making them. But I will always try my best to keep it mostly on Mondays. So you're not going to see my face in this vid. I'm actually in the park right now, as you can see. I made a few videos here last spring and last summer. A little bit of last fall too. It's a really nice day. It's not hot. So I'm actually standing under a tree right now. So this is what you'll see. I'll answer your questions here. Just want to change the scenery up a bit. So let's jump into your questions. Peru al Mundial Roblox. Do you think Argentina could possibly not qualify for future World Cups and go down in level? Could the next South American powerhouse, along with Brazil, be Colombia, Peru, etc.? Absolutely. If 2018 World Cup qualifying taught us anything, it's that nobody is safe. Italy are not here. This is a revolutionary, really, kind of tournament because Italy's not there. The Netherlands are not there. Chile is not there. African powerhouses Cameroon, Ghana, and Ivory Coast are not there. You have the United States are not there. You have regional powerhouses from every confederation who didn't qualify for the World Cup this time around. It's very unique in that regard for this cycle. So I don't think anybody is safe. The only two countries that I can see never failing to qualify are Brazil and Germany. That's it. But, look at Argentina. They barely qualified by the skin of their teeth this time around. Messi's heroics in the hat trick in the final game versus Ecuador dragged them into the World Cup. He's going to be 35 years old in the next cycle. So if he retires for Argentina before Qatar 2022, I think Argentina are an excellent candidate to not qualify for 2022. And you want to hear something bold? I'm going to say it's a toss-up that they who must not be named doesn't qualify for 2022 because I don't see any indication, I don't see any sign that they are moving away from Messi. They have a plan B. They have a blueprint in place for when he finally hangs up his boots. Yeah, I know Argentina has one of the best youth system in the Americas, but still, they should not be struggling to qualify for World Cups. Even without Messi, they should not be struggling to qualify. I put their odds of not qualifying for 2022 at 50%. No joke. And you just heard me call them out of their name. It is they who must not be named, aka Messi plus 10 homeless guys, aka Clowns FC, aka the artists formerly known as Argentina. Anyway, moving on. Could we see other powerhouses in South America, Brazil, Colombia, Peru, etc.? Yeah, we could. The problem is, outside of the big three, Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, the traditional powerhouses, usually see it fluctuate in South America. So you see Paraguay going on a good spell, qualifying for a few World Cups. Colombia just got back in 2014 after being gone for nearly 20 years. Peru is back after every 36 years. I think outside of the big three, it's always going to be a constant fluctuation. So the big three are always going to be Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay. Actually, maybe it's only the big two. because Uruguay just returned to the fore back in 2010. And even though they were in the 2002 World Cup, Uruguay, you couldn't really call them a top team in South America. And, long before that, they were in the wilderness for a couple of decades, But right now, it's Brazil and Argentina. To a lesser extent, Uruguay, but, I think it's always going to stay that way. But if Argentina doesn't qualify, if Argentina doesn't make it in 2022, all bets are off the table. Let's see. Jose Carlos Contreras Mendez. What is the most memorable match of each World Cup you lived? Not necessarily the best played, just the one you enjoyed and remember the most. Okay. The most memorable match from every World Cup that I've seen. From 2014, it has to be the semifinal where Brazil lambasted Germany 7-1. That will forever be in the history books. For 2010, it's the quarterfinal match between Ghana and Uruguay, for me. 2006, the most memorable match for me, it's Germany-Italy. Same choice that you have, because I said previously in another video, the Germany versus Italy 2006 semifinal is the best World Cup match I've ever seen. It's one of the best international matches I've ever seen, but it's the best World Cup match I've ever seen. 2002, that's a tough one, because 2002 was a truly special World Cup. I would say the most memorable one for me in 2002, all of South Korea's matches. Because then I was 9 years old. I remember watching South Korea in that tournament. All their games were very exciting. Yeah, there's the whole controversy of whether or not they received favorable decisions from referees, but you put that aside, that Korean team was very entertaining to watch. And whether or not their run to the semis was tainted, whether intentionally or unintentionally, I do consider it the best Asian national team of the 21st century, the 2002 South Korean side. They were very talented. Perhaps not enough to get to the semifinals, but could have made a case for round of 16 or quarterfinals. To be honest, not to get off topic, I think the quarterfinal clash with Spain was more tainted than the round of 16 one versus Italy, because the quarterfinal versus Spain had two perfectly good goals that were called off, whereas in the round of 16 against Italy, yeah, some calls were bad by the ref, but Italy just failed to put away their chances in that game, and South Korea actually dominated large stretches of that game. So I actually think it's possible South Korea still would have gotten past Italy, but they would have fallen to Spain in the quarterfinals, most likely. But still, that South Korean team in 2002, it's the best Asian side I've ever seen. And then 1998, I was 5 years old in 1998. 5 years old, but I did watch every single match. I'm trying to remember. I tell you what, I really liked the Brazil versus Denmark game in the quarterfinals of 1998. When Brazil won 3-2, Denmark almost pulled off a stunning upset over the defending world champions. That was that was a great match. I think it was the best match of the tournament, to be honest. As much as my 5-year-old mind could process it at the time. Arturo Vasquez, what underdog team do you think will make it far in the World Cup? What underdog team do you think will make it far in the World Cup? It's a hard question, because I've touched upon it several times, and there are numerous candidates that can fill that role. I think Tunisia is one of them. I don't think Senegal have enough experience in major tournaments, this young, talented Senegalese team, to pull off something spectacular as they did in 2002. I would keep a lookout for one of the Asian teams. I know Asia is not very highly rated heading into this tournament, but Japan are in a relatively generous group, and they are in the sister group of a group containing England, Panama, and Tunisia, and yes, an albeit very strong Belgium team. But, you know, all it takes is one slip up. If Belgium doesn't win their group, Japan comes second in their group, they could feasibly have a path to the quarterfinals if they face the winner of Group G, if that winner of Group G is not Belgium. And even then, if it is Belgium, I don't think Belgium has done anything spectacular in the last two major tournaments to merit them being, World Cup, one of the World Cup favorites. So you look at maybe a Japan, maybe a Tunisia, maybe another underdog. Maybe Iceland can repeat what they did in 2016. Peru, I don't consider Peru an underdog. They're more of a dark horse. So another maybe underdog, maybe Morocco. Morocco can, I think, surprise, take one of the top two spots in Group B, and then play a very, very winnable match in the round of 16 against the winner of Group A. So that's open. So I would say, Morocco, Tunisia, maybe Japan, Iceland again. Moving on. Let's see. Antonio Russo. This sounds like a trivia question. My question for you next week, can you name the only team who has been at the World Cup more than once to have always got past the group stage of the tournament? Only one team who has been at the World Cup more than once has never failed to get past the group stage. That's a good one. I like the trivia. I did not do any research on this, so this answer is going to be organic. So just give me a few seconds to think about it. Up until 2010, I know it was Denmark, but then Denmark were eliminated by Japan, so it's no longer Denmark. But a team that has, when they have qualified for the World Cup more than once, according to you, they've always advanced past the group stage. Is it Sweden? No. Probably not Sweden. No. Let me think. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but is it Chile? I think it could be Chile. So if it's Chile, then let me know. But if not, then let me know also. Moving on. Sammy Kiani, will you do a preview and post-match reaction for each World Cup match? Absolutely. I'm planning on watching every game just like I do in every World Cup that I've seen in my life. I may not do individual ones because you have to consider that there's going to be four. So on some days, on several days actually, there's going to be as many as 4 games. So I could combine 2 per video. I can give maybe a 10 or 15 minute long video reacting to 2 matches at a time because, or maybe not. If they're spaced apart long enough, I can do 4 vids. We'll have to see. It all depends. Mark Pacelli, fan request. Can you make videos where you tell us what you would have predicted before the 2010 and 2014 World Cups just for fun? Sure, I can do that. It'll just be up to you guys to believe what I say. which I don't have any reason to lie. But very quickly, I will say that I did predict Spain to win the 2010 World Cup. To be honest, though, they kind of made it easy because many people thought they would win it, and they did win Euro 2008, and this was the same team that went on to win 3 major international trophies in a row. But I did not have them beating the Netherlands in the final. I thought they would beat Brazil. The 2014 World Cup, I got the final correct. I had Germany versus Argentina, but I picked Argentina to win, much to my mistake. But if you want like specific predictions that I gave for like the group stages and everything, I'll have to make a separate video for that. AVJ123, why is CONCACAF a joke? Well, AVJ123, I have to disagree with the premise of that question. I do not believe CONCACAF is a joke. CONCACAF is actually, in modern day World Cups, the 3rd highest performing confederation since the tournament expansion to 32 teams. I say World Cups in the modern era probably started around 1990, but I don't think it really kicked off until 98 under the 32 team format. And actually, if you look at it, overall, CONCACAF just barely outshines Africa, statistically speaking. I don't think CONCACAF is a joke. And if you take away the top 3 or 4 teams in CONCACAF, Mexico, Costa Rica, USA, Panama, even Honduras or Jamaica, you're seeing a lot of improvement in the area. A lot of Caribbean teams have been on the up. Trinidad and Tobago went to their first World Cup in 2006. If you hear music, there's an ice cream truck coming by. If you can hear the jingle. 4 Caribbean nations reached the CONCACAF Gold Cup for the first time, quarterfinals for the first time in 2015. Haiti, Cuba. You're even seeing upstarts like St. Vincent and the Grenadines, who reached the round of 12 in 2018 World Cup qualifying. I don't think CONCACAF is a joke. I think it's top heavy. There's a huge gap in disparity between, say, Mexico and Turks and Caicos Islands. But even the middle tier Caribbean island nations have gotten better. And I know a lot of people like to poke fun at CONCACAF, but you put a gun to my head and tell me, who do I take, the 4 best teams in CONCACAF or the 4 best teams in Asia? I go with the 4 best teams in CONCACAF most days of the week. National teams. So moving on. How you doing, kid? Do you like to fart, and do you like grapes? You asked me this a few times. I don't mind trolling on my channel. That's okay. Do I like to fart? I would say not particularly, although I'm sure for most people it does feel good. I mean, it does feel good. No lie. I don't know if I would say that I like it. And do I like grapes? Yes, I like grapes. Actually, grapes are particularly really good if you freeze them. You put them in the freezer, and you take them out when they're like, not rock solid, but hard enough. It's like a great frozen treat. It's a good alternative to ice cream. So yeah, I like grapes, yeah. I like purple ones more because the green ones tend to be really sour. Samuel Castaneda. I also follow your channel. I have a suggestion. Would you make a video specializing in what international tournaments where you would like to happen in the future of new possible FIFA tournaments? Sure, yeah. Monday Q&A, could you give an opinion of what are the stakes for Costa Rica at the 2018 World Cup? And what do you think of goalkeeper Keylor Navas, his career at the club level? So, for Costa Rica, I think they are under pressure to prove that their run in 2014 was not a fluke. Now, people that know this Costa Rican team, people that have a basic understanding, know that it was not a fluke. But unfortunately, to a lot of, I'm gonna have to use this phrase, Euro snobs, elitists out there, and they are out there. But many people view Costa Rica's run in 2014 basically akin to what South Korea did in 2002, just minus the whole scandal. That it was a one-hit wonder kind of event. True, it was a great run, a good Cinderella story, but Costa Rica is also a really decent team, and historically speaking, they've always been a top team from the CONCACAF Confederation. Now, in order to put that to bed, to show that it wasn't just, luck or whatever, I think they have to get out of their group. If I'm being honest, they simply must advance from their group in this World Cup. They don't have to go to the quarterfinals again, but they should at least get to the round of 16. It's going to be hard to do it again, but I think they can do it. And for Keylor Navas, what do I think about him? I think he's amazing. He was public enemy number one in that second leg against my Bayern team for Real Madrid. He pulled out all the stops to make some excellent saves in that match, and really in both legs of the semifinals of against Real. So for us against Real, I mean. I think he's a wonderful goalkeeper, and you may know this since you're Costa Rican, but Keylor Navas had to deal with profound discrimination because of the fact that he was Costa Rican. This is one of the things about the football world that I really have a very scathing view of, because if you look at how club transfers are done in Europe and scouting, there's a very heavy bias against non-European, non-South American, and to a lesser extent non-African-based players. And this bias, a lot of the time, is directed towards Asia and CONCACAF in particular. Keylor Navas, this is actually a true story. Keylor Navas was almost not given the offer from Real back in 2014 because he was Costa Rican. Several agents that worked with his transfer even said that there was an inherent bias, an inherent worry that he wasn't good enough because he came from a region of the world that is not associated with producing superstars. Pretty much that's one thing about football. I can actually make a separate video on this. I hate it. I absolutely despise elitist snobbery in football, both from a moral perspective and from a statistical perspective, because a lot of the beliefs, the biases towards the current state of world football are sorely misguided. But anyway, moving along. Some 14, sure. What second-tier team, in your opinion, has the chance to become top tier one in near future? Kind of like what Belgium did in recent years. Second-tier team that can become tier one. Good question. I would have said Wales, but 2018's failure was a massive disappointment. What national teams can break through the tier one like Belgium? Well, maybe Peru. I put Peru in tier two. Another team that can come back to tier one, I would say maybe Croatia, but Croatia's always been a second tier side that threatens they're going to break through and then they don't break through. Same thing with Mexico. Mexico is possibly the best example of that. In my opinion, this is just my opinion, right? Mexico is perpetually trapped in the tier 2 column. They can get through. It doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. And then elsewhere, tier 1, honestly, I don't see very many other teams that can, at the current moment, look like they're knocking on the door to enter that upper echelon of the best national teams in the world. Maybe the Netherlands can return to it in the next few years, when they get their act together, just like they did after the failure of 2002 World Cup. The Netherlands will be back. I believe Dutch football will make a comeback. And I actually think, I still believe, Holland will be the 9th country to win the World Cup, because of the fact that the World Cup is only won by a new team on average every 10 to 12 years. And because of the fact that I don't expect a new winner in 2018 or even in 2022, I think that will give them time. I still think it's going to be the Netherlands. I really do think Holland will be the next new country to win the World Cup. But anyway, let's see. Dominic Rich, hey, do you remember the classic Ric Flair versus Hulk Hogan wrestling matches back in the day? I don't, because that was the early 90s, and I was born in the early 90s, so several of those matches actually took place before I was born. Some took place when I was only a couple of years old. I'd actually started watching the WWE, well, WWF, back around 1999, about 1999, when I was around 6 or 7 years old. So I don't remember that. I just remember when Hulk Hogan came back for a couple of years during the NWO invasion in 2002, and he returned the Hulkamania thing in 2005. But Ric Flair stuck with the company until 2008. So I still got to see a lot of matches with him and his partnership with Triple H and the whole Evolution thing. I started watching wrestling during the Attitude Era. The Stone Cold, The Rock, Mankind. And that was mid to late 90s. I started specifically in 1999. My first ever WrestleMania was actually WrestleMania 17, which is considered until this day the best WrestleMania of all time. I was very, very privileged to have that as my first ever wrestling pay-per-view to have seen, and lo and behold, it was a classic. Still have fond memories of WrestleMania 17. It is the best WrestleMania of all time, to be honest. That was in 2001. AVJ123. What do you think about Donald Trump's statement about the U.S., Mexico, and Canada bid for the World Cup in 2026? I don't like to get into